John, raise a glass. Because it's time for Pink. Here's the Pink song. Ooh, yeah. Pink, pink, pink. Pink, pink episode with John and Dylan. Who is Pink? Who is Pink? The fourth most popular star of that era, but kind of has the best career somehow.
Pink. Let me say this. Let me say this about Pink. Let me speak on this. I would say number one, okay, actually I will masturbate to this music video.
Okay, really?
Between, I would say, her first two albums, number one on the, I'm not intentionally waiting for this to come on to masturbate. That title belongs to, let's say it together, Toxic by Britney Spears. But when it came on, it would be like, well, be rude not to.
I mean, my friend Jim, there you go. That was a good alias because it's still kind of his name. Who has
person's real name is
now.
James.
Yeah. Has his children now, and very suburban life. But anyway, he had the funniest thing was if he said if he saw Britney Spears on Much Music past 11 p.m., he took it as a sign to masturbate, not to that video, but to something else. He's like, well, I have to masturbate now.
I really like
decided
this guy.
by Christ.
I like the cut of this guy's jib.
I mean, yeah, he had a lot of good rules like that.
That's a guy that I feel like he's going to raise one really good kid and one really fucked up kid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. He one of the funniest things at a party.
Perfect. Dylan, I want you to know,
Good.
Dylan's friend just hacked his computer to not tell the story. His screen's just gone black.
Wait a minute. What's happening? Okay, good. Whatever. New recording track created. 1 second, John.
What the fuck, Dylan? You fucked us again. Yo, he did it.
Now straight up laptop mic. Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is you know what this is? This is a Skype call now.
Oh, good. What is this, 2009? Let's talk about how isn't it crazy that we're having a video chat? Human beings are fucking insane in that we went from, oh my God, we can finally speak to each other television-wise to webcam girls in, I'm going to say 6 months. Like, it was literally like, okay, we have the ability to stream video. There's only one thing to do. Get some women masturbating, get some bald men making money off of it. This is very predictable, isn't it? That's right. Human beings, we like the same things always. We invent something and then we immediately figure out a way to put sex on top of it and then exploit that.
Here's what I'm going to say is to you is one of my favorite things was there's this dudes, and so it's like a fucking, you know, kind of a country, like from the suburbs, but maybe a more country-leaning part of the suburbs. And a bunch of people were chugging beers, and then James went up to him and said, "Don't be a pussy. Don't chug a beer. That's easy. Chug a Pepsi." And then this dude who was chugging beer stopped and started trying to chug Pepsi, and it took him, like he combined probably had 5 Pepsis because he kept getting like most of the way through and then not being able to do it because of the carbonation. So he was fucked. It was like 5 Pepsi, dude.
Me and my group of friends stopped getting invited to bush parties very quickly because we thought it was funny to like do crazy shit. But like looking back, it was like, man, there were a bunch of people trying to have sex in the woods. And a favorite one is a bunch of guys were smoking weed by a fire. And me and my buddy, we both decided, and this is real 17-year-old asshole logic, to jump through the fire at them to scare them while they were smoking weed, which we did do. And then a bunch of people, when you just jumped through a fire and a bunch of people are like, how many beers have you had? And you turn to them wearing a Black Sabbath t-shirt and go, none. They are so sad. They are all just like, well.
People get mad. And I used to be one of them where you get mad at people for having fun sober. And you know what? It's good.
Oh, my God. Well, Dylan also was the funniest type of drunk in that he was the best, very fun, gregarious man, and then just wanted to fight. But not fun.
No one understands wrestling.
Yeah, he wants to UFC grapple, but it's basically just being held by the biceps by a guy just going like, "You've lost. You've lost." It's also because he's had 4 more beers than you. Like, you weren't aware that he's had 4. There was like one moment where I was like, oh, he's had 8 beers and I've had 5 beers.
I drink faster than. And the other thing, my wife would track this where she said once I had the dink eye, she was prepared to be grabbed, which is something you want your wife to say.
That's right. Especially dink eye really sounds like something you catched during the Great Depression. Oh, yeah.
Like the one, like. And apparently, like, towards the end of me drinking, I would have 2 beers, and they'd be like, what are you talking about? The dink eye's not here. They were like, immediately, I just look drunk, you know? It was good.
It's very funny. So I just spent the last week in New York, and I was hanging out with a bunch of gentlemen, like New York gentlemen that are all
Can I
literally
tell you
a guy,
who they were?
Pardon me?
Can I guess who they were?
Of course, you know exactly who they were.
All right. P. Diddy, Kanye, Derek Jeter, Rudy Giuliani.
Not in that order, but yes, of course. Of course, first call.
Yeah, you start with Jeter.
Yeah, I don't start with Jeter. Jeter, like in all things, he's coming up third. Number one call, the Giuliani man. I want to get some pasta in this town. Only Rudy knows. Here's the thing. Here's what's crazy about Rudy Giuliani. In the end, nothing's really changed for that guy. Like, black people have always hated him. He's always been on the run from creditors, and he's always been a drunken lunatic. It's just now like everyone's aware. It's fucking crazy.
Also, it's like, I feel like people expect more out of their public figures than they should because they're just human beings, like both in good and bad ways. Obviously, this is funny because I watched or I shouldn't say watched, that's a misrepresentation. I rebuilt the Miami Marlins in MLB The Show while listening to a VH1 documentary on Pink. And
that's right.
When they're up, they attribute like the most insane, like everything was a plan. Like for Pink's childhood, this is my favorite thing is you listen to this album and you think it was a crazy bad divorce, but her parents are on this VH1 thing and they're like, yeah, we just had an amicable divorce. And then Pink could not handle that. John?
It's the craziest thing is you just realize Pink is just like the most driven. She's like a driven CEO personality in the body of a girl that like in the body of a person who put grip tape on a skateboard in 2006. Like it's the most interesting thing where it's like,
I have another thing I would say about Pink. Apologies.
Go ahead.
Pink is the music, and this is why I think that she never got, like she'd have number one singles, but people wouldn't really put her on air a lot, is because she is truly the soundtrack to that girl in grade 9 who dates a guy in college. Or
That's correct.
Girl, like it's like there's always a troubling amount of age difference, and the guy has a pickup truck. The guy who like is 25 but still hangs out with high school kids and she's dating him, and you're like, you shouldn't be doing that.
The Pink is the anthem for the 18-year-old girl that is dating a 25-year-old. And the thing is it's 2007. Literally, no, we are countdown to the days where people are like, that's fucked up, but we are not there yet, and people are cool with it. Like it's one of the like, oh my god.
No, it was 2000. The first album's 2000. The second album's 2001. We're right in the heat of like
2001. This is what I'm speaking about is like, because Pink's career is very interesting. There was Mizzundastood is like this is her biggest album.
Say it again.
Mizzundastood.
That's good. Oh yeah, that was the Swedish version.
Mizzundastood.
But her childhood is just exactly what you expect. She skipped school and smoked cigarettes in a garage.
Yeah, her childhood is basically just like, hey, John Hastings, you know all the girls you dated in your 20s? Pink would have been one of those girls. Oh, are you very smart, but you just want to apply yourself for the first 10 to 15 years because things were kind of shitty and you were slightly different in your youth? Yeah, that's right. Let's smoke near this coffee shop. Fuck.
It's so funny how easy it was to be different then.
You're like, a genius. Yeah, like you literally, I mean? Oh my God, she's wearing a white shirt with black pants and her hair is a different color than it naturally was.
Yeah.
She's so edgy. She took the bus here.
Yeah. And then now you look, and she's also a good version of, she took the bus here. That was, she's also like a version of how things age, because like she has what now would be called a mom cut, but back then it was like, this chick doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Look, she doesn't have long hair and her hair is pink. That's two things. Most people are just like, whoa.
You fucking loser, because her name is Pink, but her hair is a different style of the color pink. Also, she spells pink with an exclamation point, which is fucking crazy. And fourth, she's got some tattoos. Bear in mind also, you have to understand, like, Pink showing some tattoos, this was so fucking crazy. Also, she's a white girl who did R&B and then brought like modern R&B to rock and roll. And let me say this about white people. If you just merge two musics one that we like and one that's popular with black people, that will sell, baby. That is how you fucking do it. That's how you do it every fucking time. Every fuck time.
Oh, every fuck time, you said?
Because basically what happened is Pink has her first album, and it's like a very R&B album up to and including the music video, which was in the late 90s. This was the most come hither thing you'd see in a music video, which is the person is just wearing a strapless bra and they're shot shoulder up singing, implying to all the boys watching at home, yeah, if you were here, you could see her boobs. But you're not, so you should think about what her boobs look like. And I gotta tell you this right now. Challenge accepted. Challenge fucking accepted. I'm thinking about her boobs. Dylan, I'm thinking about them right now.
Whoa. I mean, to me...
And then basically she's like, oh, I need to stand out ever so slightly because it's the late 90s and this is cooker cutter time of like, look, we know Beyonce is going to release a solo album. We do not know when that's going to be. And until that, all you sluts are going to sing into microphones while we fucking kill some time. Start fucking singing. Hey, Christina Aguilera, tell Fifi Dobson to get fucking going with the songs.
Yeah, but yeah, her childhood, she gets divorced, she moves to Philadelphia. She's in a girl group that does very badly, but except for she stands out, and then she gets signed by L.A. Reid, and pretty much is immediately successful. Yeah.
Has L.A. Reid been outed as history's greatest monster yet? I don't know why. I have a feeling.
I mean, they all probably are, but yeah. That was just acceptable back then, too. Like, I remember it was like someone was trying to relitigate Lawrence of Arabia on a podcast I was listening to.
Yeah, I also listened to Behind the Bastards. I haven't got to that episode yet. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just like, was this, is this man from the 1800s maybe problematic? It's the 1800s.
Buddy, it's also English people. I got news for you. Like, I'll even do this. Like, is it an English person from 2024? Yeah, they're going to say some crazy shit. What? Why? It's like, look, you can't, essentially
we gotta stop that. Like, we got to stop relitigating. Like, Trump's won 2 terms now. We can't just start like
Dylan's taking the inevitable pivot to the turn to right. All right,
that's what I'm saying.
Dylan.
We got to stop. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Someone I've tried this joke twice, so I'll podcast it now, but it has not worked yet. Is someone came to me and asked if their joke about polyamorous people was too mean. And the previous weekend, I had to beg my father-in-law to stop talking about how Asian chicks have big clits at my son's baptism. I'm like, there can't be that big a gap. There has to be a middle. Do you know what I mean? Where we're like, you can make fun of polyamorous people. It's not going to hurt their feelings. And stop talking about certain races as a hive mind. Like, you know what I mean? They're not fucking a breed of dog. Like, they don't.
I'm going to say something even crazier. If you're offending a bunch of polyamorous people, those polyamorous people, like, you guys, hey, guys who get to have orgies all the time. You don't get to be like, hey, dude, it smells like sour milk. You're being disrespectful to us. It's like 2 women suck your dick at the same time this month. You just fucking take it, bro. You've been to a Holiday Inn where the staff looks at each other like, oh, God, we're going to have to hose down those elevators. You do not get to be upset. You literally have forgotten how many times you've been rimmed. I know polyamorous people. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
You and I can't imagine, too, a poor polyamorous person. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm on food stamps, me and my 4 wives. I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet this month. Anyway, I'm going to go fuck 3 separate women. I'm going to go have a dip taster of ass.
As someone who had a brief flirtation dating 2 separate polyamorous people in the course of my lifetime, you've never nailed something more accurately in your life. That here is the number one,
like doctors.
The number one clue that your dad has a business in Singapore with his own name on it is, oh, by the way, I'm polyamorous. Like, it's yeah, especially.
You're just getting fucking the bakery's open, buddy. You're putting whatever you want in that oven. Who cares? Woo! Good for you. Take a joke.
Let me ask
wear
you this.
Your cloak and friggin'.
Oh my God.
Polyamorous thing. It is better than fucking going full. Like, it is people who have just made cheating an HR, turned cheating from an HR issue into like a weird religion.
Well, here's the other thing is also you live in Toronto and the Toronto comedians and comedy scene. For some reason, starting in 2015, everyone got there was a real segment of orgy masters. and then the dude's not invited to those orgies who are real upset, and it's a real schism in Toronto comedy that I quite enjoy.
It is actually. If you are left wing, you have dabbled in, like, you probably had. I don't know anyone that is a right wing comedian who, or I shouldn't say this. You can be a left wing comedian and be either established or not and have had an orgy, but if you're a right wing comedian, then odds are, and you're on the come up, you've not had an orgy yet.
That's correct. But you are also, here's the thing with right wing comedian. Tell me. You will walk by two dudes who are like, we're going to fuck this chick together. And they are way more excited about it than than she is. She's kind of like.
Those guys are always funny where it's like, fucking gay people then shouldn't have laws anyway. Me and my friend, a woman came between our penises. That's what I call it.
I remember someone explaining to me his shock that having sex with a lady and another guy was going to result in him seeing another man come. That was one of the craziest moments of my life when he was like, let me tell you a part I wasn't expecting. The guy just jizzed. And I was like, what do you think happens with sex? That'd be like, went to the sandwich shop and everyone was eating bread. What do you think we're doing here, pal? We're here to jizz. My word.
Oh, I'd finish first and run.
Not me.
It would just be effectively them having sex because I would just nut so fast.
I would like to make it very awkward for the other guy just as I'm nutting. Just beat that. I measured it. That's 1 liter.
I would just be like, listen, just so you know, I'm into like choking, and then I'd be having sex with a girl and choke the guy. That's right.
I'm into something actually more extreme than choking. I'm into mugging. What does that mean? Well, I fuck her. I'm going to need you to give me $20. What? Yeah.
I mean, that could have gone a different way, but I get you.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm into financial domination. What does that mean? I want you to give me $75 while I plow your babe. But this just sounds like every story every comedian in Florida has.
Is that true?
Let me say this about every American. Every American who's been in a fraternity, by the way, has a story about how him and 3 of his other friends had a weird, seems like they were just way more excited to see each other's penises than have any other sort of interaction story that they really enjoy telling. Like, literally, as I was coming to grips with the idea that, a friend of mine's, really sick, I think he may be passing away. As 4 comedians were discussing, they're like, listen, 2 weeks ago, there were 2 flight attendants here. We all went back to their hotel and took turns having sex with them. And I was like, fucking Florida is exactly what Florida is going to be always. Always.
I like that.
If you get into rural Canada, you're always like, what the fuck? You guys are burning a bunch of crosses? Yeah, we're not racist. We got the idea from a racist, but it actually just really makes the field look nice. And you're like, this is nuts. And then in rural America, you're just like, hey, are you an Uber driver? Can drive me home? And they're like, yeah. And then they're like, you want to smoke weed? And you're like, in an Uber? And they're like, yeah, it's Florida. And then you smoke a bunch of weed, and then they put on the Trump rapper Tom McDonald because you're Canadian and he's Canadian. And you're just like, hey, man, I'm going to need you to pull over or turn this off. And then they do not do either of those things. You're in America. You know what I mean? None of that was shocking.
Yeah, I guess Florida is like our Newfoundland, or would be Newfoundland here?
It's incorrect. Florida is as crazy as Tennessee is just as nuts. Tennessee, a guy told me, he's like, I just smoked a bunch of meth with a lady in front of her 2-year-old, and then I had to watch him be like, oh, I better call the cops, and then have the cops arrive and yell at him for getting them into another one of their scrapes, which is very funny because they were referring to a crime they would have to go and deal with as a scrape. It's just Florida is the same as Ontario in that everyone's expecting Ontario to be filled with jock douche assholes who drink a bunch of beers, but that's Canada. What it actually is Ontario is just the most populous part of Canada, so you get all of everyone's like, Alberta, it's a bunch of bros getting drunk, and I'm like, that's Toronto. It's a bunch of dudes named Nathaniel getting hammered in a vest, and then talking
everywhere
about how
it's just men and women getting hammered, and I don't think that's bad, John.
I do. I think they should be getting drunk in separate rooms. Let me tell you when Canada really lost its way, and that's when they started letting women in taverns. I think
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you something I like about this new generation. They've destigmatized light beer.
Oh, they've destigmatized. I'm going to say this. They've destigmatized coolers. Imagine drinking a
they
White
have.
Claw in if you drink
Couldn't
a
do
White
it.
Claw in 2000, everyone's like, oh, the 2010s, very woke time. If you had a White Claw, people wouldn't call you gay. People would be like, are you hurt? Like, did something happen to you physically? Like, did something it would be. A friend of mine bought a bunch of Smirnoff Black Ices for a house party, and we ran out of booze and no one drank them for fear that we would be accused of something.
Well, it's also too sugary, John.
Yeah.
No, I was saying the point I was leading to about Newfoundland was I got in a cab in Newfoundland, and this is like every cab I ever got into. A guy was like, "Do you want to smoke in here?" Because I put a cigarette out. And then he's like, "Do you want to smoke in here?" And I said, "No, I'm good." He says, "Well, if you don't smoke, I can't smoke." And I was like, "Okay," and I smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was like, "You can't drink in here unless you give me one." And then laughed, and it was like, "Yeah, that's okay. Here's a beer, man." And I just like did the weirdest thing ever, where I, out of politeness, pretended to drink a beer in the back of a cab.
How many?
The cabbie would.
How many times have you been in a car where the driver is drinking a beer? Because let me say this. Not on the island of Montreal, the number is 0. On the island of Montreal, it is in double digits. Like the amount of times in the city of Montreal, I've been with a guy driving along and then slowly been like, wait a minute, is there beer in here? And they're like looking at me like, yeah, I'm not having a coffee at 7 p.m. And you're like, Jesus Christ, just having a level it out beer at 7 p.m. So many times. So many with people that were parents then.
I mean, if you're a parent, then yeah, you don't give a shit.
Let me ask you, your father, if you were a boozeman, would you have a beer in a Tim Hortons travel cup, just dropping heading out immediately after having dinner with your kids?
No, I never was. I only used booze to get hammered. I never saw the idea or the positive in having two.
Yeah, I never. Like, I've smoked 2 hoots of a joint to, like, loosen up and have fun and see the joy in the world. I've never been like, having one beer has never made me feel loose. It's just been like, well, I'm bloated. I now want to have 80 cigarettes, and I hate this.
Yeah, I mean, would I be like, if I still smoked, would I be like basically inventing reasons to smoke a cigarette? Yeah. Like constantly smoking. Like I can't go halfway with
Here's what was so nice about me quitting drinking is what I realized I liked was sitting outside smoking 20 cigarettes.
Yeah.
And a beer is just the way to do that legally. Like if you just are like, oh, no, I'm just here to smoke cigarettes and chat. People are like, that means you're a Weinstein level predator, my friend. Get the fuck out of here. But if you're like, I've had 2 beers, they're like, well, it makes sense why he said 14 cigarettes.
Well, this is the thing is you travel, like traveling to Europe was a real big eye opener because I'm like, oh, I can just rip smokes on a patio with and have a bunch of espresso. Let's do it. Anyway, here's a woman that hates espresso, Pink. So
disagree. I guarantee very complicated Starbucks order. I'd like a chai tea, 2 shots of espresso on the side. But you don't know that means in the cup poured on the side.
But this is the funny thing was like back then in the year 2000, even like white trash, the voice of them couldn't even be a white trash person, which is crazy that like Britney Spears was lower middle and she was the voice for the suburban girl, and Pink was upper middle and she was the voice for like the white trash girl.
Well, because I think part of it
flipped.
is Britney Spears was always the like, hey, she's at a high school and dancing, as opposed to Pink, where it was like, hey, she did a song that was geared towards black people. And now it's geared towards white people, which for some reason I'm a marketing executive in 1999. That implies that she is poor.
Well, also Pink was on LaFace Records versus Britney Spears, who's in the fucking Disney thing.
Yeah, she's on BMG and literally like on the side of like a school bus being like, this whore's really good at singing. Don't be like this whore though.
Yeah.
The other thing that's very important to remember about Misunderstood
as much.
Is it comes out and then Pink stars in the #1 music video for jacking of the 2000s, the Lady Marmalade video.
No.
Yes.
#1?
I'm putting it as #1. I think the amount of self-discovery people had for that music video, the amount of suburban white men who went, Lil Kim, not so little peen. You know what I mean?
It was like a weird. You know what it reminded me of? Now that I'm thinking about it, it reminded me of the Avengers, because
Go ahead.
You would think that because the Avengers are ostensibly kind of some B-level superheroes. Like your A superheroes were like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, but the Avengers are Iron Man, the Hulk, and fucking Ant-Man's in there.
Captain
Thor,
America. What the fuck are you talking
America?
about?
That's that's what I'm saying. Captain America's Christina Aguilera, and the rest of them are the B squad.
Holy shit, you're fucking so goddamn right.
Christina Aguilera brings the fucking Captain America-ness, and then you get fucking
Lil Kim is Iron Man. Lil
Kim is the Iron Man. Well, I'd say Lil Kim's more like, maybe Iron Man. The Hulk is pink. Man. You know what I mean? Ant-Man
Pink's
is Maya.
Hulk.
Even
you know
though
what I'm saying?
Maya was bringing it. The VH1 thing is super funny too, because they talk about everyone singing, and then the guy goes, "And Maya is so hot." And Maya,
I totally forgot that Maya was there.
Dude, Maya looks exactly the same. Hell yeah,
Maya does look exactly the same. Holy shit!
Turns out this is the other thing I don't like was like Selma Hayek looks great at 60. It's like, yeah, who could have thought being a naturally beautiful millionaire would make you still attractive?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, who knew getting famous, like living your dream from 25 onwards, and every day a skincare professional comes to your house and slathers you in a variety of products?
Yeah, and then you can get like tune-up surgeries too. Like I think this is really under thing where it's like you don't do an overhaul, you get like tune-ups every single month. You have that money.
Correct. Like, you know how like William Shatner's had been intentionally putting on 5 pounds a year every year since he was 80 because it eliminates wrinkles better than getting Botox?
Okay.
Which is the most insane thing ever. He's like, yeah, I got to make sure people don't see the wrinkles. It's like, hey, William Shatner, you're in your 90s. We know you're old. Like, what the fuck are you?
No,
if I'm in my 90s, get ready for people to be constantly like, does he have dementia? No, he knows what he's doing.
A piece of lost media was, I remember this from grade 7, it was really hard to get people to laugh at things just because it was campy in grade 7. But, and this is a very Canadian thing, but William Shatner played Louis Riel in like something, and
I remember this.
William Shatner was like I am a Métis, and I want to take over line Canada.
I remember this video from high school. It is so crazy because everyone else is trying their fucking hardest because, like, I'm here with William Shatner. Maybe he will take me to Hollywood. And it is a guy actively thinking about what's for lunch. Holy shit. That guy, is that fresh cut chicken breast going on that sandwich? Oh, pardon me. I am the son of the Métis, and I am here to capture the chicken club. Ah, fuck. I am so... And bear in mind, this is their best... The best take is he's, like, actively looking at his bank account statement in his little checkbook, being like, I don't think you put the most recent check in the account. Because I would have been able to balance this. I'm going to need you. What's that? Oh, we don't stand for John McDonald's. That's what I want for lunch. Anyway, that place is invented by Sir John A. McDonald, and I don't like him because I am Louis Riel. It's Louis Riel. Either way, I'm a Métis, and I'm your matey. Like, it's just like, it's the best. Yeah,
yeah, it's good.
Because here's the thing with William Shatner is William Shatner, like, between basically, like, TJ Hooker and the Star Trek movie or whatever, he was not like, he wasn't famous. Like, this is the thing that people don't understand. Like, Adam West was made fun of because of the Batman series, and then no one remembers any of those other shows, and he is now like the king of the world because of Family Guy reinventing him. And William Shatner is similar, where he was like a dick asshole, and then they just brought Star Trek back, and then he just segued from that to like just hanging out, then to being Denny Crane, and now he's a weird guy who appears in a variety of ads on LA area billboards.
Well, Shatner obviously, like, Trekkies kept him around.
Yeah, but he wouldn't go to the conventions. He hated them. You remember the famous SNL sketch?
No.
What's wrong with you people? Get out of your parents' basements. Just. It's a stupid TV show I did for 3 years. I hate you. It's so good because it's like so clearly this is how he feels.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people in the entertainment industry would be like, how dare these people try and give me money for the rest of my life? You trying to create stability out of entertainment? No,
They did that. Like they did then. Like Christopher Plummer, you were never allowed to mention The Sound of Music. Yes, I only want to talk about the things that people know me from. Star Trek V.
Oh yeah, but no, he did all the movies too. Anyway, Shatner will do anything for a buck. Anyway, John, Pink's album "Misunderstood" is why we're here, and we've talked about it for about 1 second.
Exactly. Let me tell you the one thing that Pink did that was smart is she was like, I need to stand out. How do I stand out? She went and got Linda Perry from Four Non-Blondes, and it was basically went and got a very good producer that wasn't working in the pop genre. That was a hard rocker, and then just applied it to pop, and it stood out.
Who is it?
Like crazy. Because as Dylan said at the top, basically Pink made the anthem for the 18-year-old who's dating a 42-year-old.
No, I didn't say that. I said 14-year-old who's dating a 26-year-old.
Oh, that's right. Oh, sorry. Let me go through the transcript. Dylan was like, hey, I'm 39, and I think I should be okay dating a 15-year-old. And then John was like, I don't think that's cool, Dylan. And then Dylan was like, I will fucking shut down this recording.
I'm just saying, and you know this to be true, at least from the era of high school we were in, there was always that girl who was dating, who's like fucking 14, and then she's dating a guy in college, and then everyone else is like, how did you meet a guy in college? And then they say, my friend's cottage or somewhere that's not on school property. And you're like, okay, and your parents are fine with this? I'm like, they have to be. He's bigger than them. And you're like, okay.
Best one ever. There was a kid, he didn't graduate. He just he failed and then turned 18, and they were like, hey, you can't be here anymore.
That's so good.
He started dating an 18-year-old. He started an 18-year-old. This is great. I was in grade 11, and this is, by the way, in the era of grade 13. So he is a full 21-year-old at this point.
You're dating an 18-year-old.
He would get up, drive his 14-year-old girlfriend to school.
Oh, 14, you said.
And then hang out in front of the school at 21 and be berated by us from the windows of our classes.
Yeah.
You don't have to be at school. You got up at 8 to drive someone to school, you cuck?
No, but it's also like, yeah, that's real dark stuff, because that's like a 21-year-old who's trying to lock in that 14-year-old.
It's crazy.
That's not as playful as the 21-year-old dating a 14-year-old I had in my head, John.
Splashily broke up, by the way. I remember this walking to school. Well, they'll pick me up again. Don't fucking do it. And I was like, this is great. And then he was hurriedly trying to close the passenger side door from the driver's side door, a very terrible position for anyone to be in. And then he sped towards a stop sign and stopped about a foot later, and then just sped away. Never ever picked her up again. Real good stuff. I got to tell you, there's been a lot of fun closures for all the weirdos from my high school. A bunch of them have ended up dead from fentanyl, where you're like, well, we always knew that this is where we were driving towards.
God.
Glad to see this is where we got to.
Glad they're dead. You are.
I wouldn't say glad I'm dead. I just sort of like, well, we knew how this book was going to end. I felt like these last few chapters dragged. Guy who told me I live under a bridge and that's where I shit. When I was 14, he died a homeless drug addict, shockingly.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, that's intense.
Ottawa's intense, baby. And do you know what songs they were playing as they died?
Get the Party Started?
They certainly were. They always felt they were misunderstood.
Linda Perry wrote Get the Party Started for Four Non-Blondes.
Was anyone else felt like Linda Perry was in the band Heart, and that's not correct? Because I felt she was one of the sisters from Heart, and that's not true.
Well, it's also like this. Apparently, the story behind this album is Pink wanted to hang out with Linda Perry, and which is so funny because like this album, if you look at how jammed with hits this album is, and it's pretty much got the turnaround time of Limp Bizkit, of Significant Other, and Chocolate Starfish. That's how quickly she makes this album after her first album. And this
so
is
you're saying that she was copying Limp Bizkit in terms of quality, because they were like, listen, let me show you how you fucking turn out a hit, baby. And she was like, how many skits are you putting in it? Skits?
Yeah. In this one, Shaggy 2 Dope does suck off Eminem too. That is in the album.
Oh, yeah. It is weird. Also, yeah, she does have a whole section where she does what she calls settles beefs, and it's just Fred Durst listing out a bunch of people he feels is parked too close to his car. Guy at the Gelsons in Clearwater, Florida, you almost scratched my paint job, but you didn't.
Yeah. It's a beef he had with a guy who got the last fucking couple Snickers bars from a Walmart or something. Anyway, Pink does, she has a bunch of tracks. Did you listen to the whole album?
I did listen to the whole album. I zoned out so hard so quickly. Here's the
Yes.
thing with this album, if we're totally honest. If you're a mom trying to relate to your daughter who, let's be frank, is filled with hormones and hates you, this is a great song of like, all right, she doesn't care, but at least I've got this music. Like, there's something about it where it's like, hey, are you much older than high school, but for some reason want to listen to pop music? Here's Pink. You know what I mean? Like, Pink is the rock music equivalent to what a dumb person thinks a smart person is. Like, what someone who doesn't know what rock and roll or rebellion is. They're like, whoa, a crop top? Also, by the way, I know where Lady Gaga got her ideas. Here's where Lady Gaga got her idea. Is she was like, oh, I'm going to do Pink, but Kiss. And that's what she did. Like, it's that was my main takeaway listening to it. It was like, holy shit, Lady Gaga is in a way less creative, but way smarter, where it's like, I'm going to do Freddie Mercury and Kiss for people that like pop music, and I'm going to have rock influences, especially like 70s stadium rock, because it's all just hooks. Because that's the other thing that Pink just figures out. Here's the thing with Mizzundastood, it's rock hooks with hip hop and R&B timing, so it's just so juicy. Because it's even look who the producers are. It's Linda Perry overseeing it, and then you have these two guys who I had never heard of before. Where the fuck are their names? Dallas Austin and Scott Storch. Have you seen a photo of Scott Storch?
No.
Holy shit, Dylan!
I want to see a photo of Scott Storch.
Scott Storch. Like, Scott Storch looks like he procured boats for Harvey Weinstein to do the bad thing on. Like, he looks so sketchy.
All right, I'm putting a thing of Scott Storch.
Like, I gotta say that, like, Scott Storch is up. Like, Scott Storch is the most. I still live with my parents, but I'm like really bragging about my life. Toronto guy, you know what I mean?
Dude, Scott Storch looks fucking awesome.
Okay, there's Scott Storch.
All right, so I'm going to put a picture of Scott Storch up. But did you listen to the song "Respect"? That one gave me. There's a couple songs here that gave me chills by
Go
how
ahead.
like embarrassed I was listening to them, or I was very glad I was listening to them on headphones at night. And
Where else would you be
Respect-
listening to it? That this doesn't make any like. There's no time. This is the thing
Have
when
you
people are
ever
like,
hung
I
out
have an
with someone
embarrassing
who
taste in music.
doesn't listen to music on headphones? Like everything's on the phone. The FaceTime on the bus people.
Like I assume that those people are some sort of government program to test our reaction to rude people, and they're like, "Yep, we can do what we want." They're, like,
There you
no
go. There's
one.
Scott Storch.
Oh, look at him.
That's in 2021 though.
Yeah, so you imagine that's toned down. That's reflective. I lost some money to NFTs. Scott Storch. Scott
Really?
Storch.
I think that would be like, wouldn't that be? So we'll do Scott Storch 2001.
How much money do you want to bet that Scott Storch was wearing a goddamn?
No, it's the same. It's the same stuff. Yeah.
Ed
He's
Hardy.
wearing the same.
How many Ed Hardy shirts do you think Scott Storch wore?
How many Ed Hardy shirts do I think Scott Storch wore? I don't know. But Scott Storch, I mean, this one's good too.
Bring it up.
This is from Lil Kim's team, Scott Storch. I mean, this is. Can I tell you something? In
Yes.
a way, seeing this picture of Scott Storch from 2001 makes me respect him more because he has not changed at
You're not
all.
gonna get this
like if you saw a
reference?
picture of me, look at that. That's Scott Storch in 2001.
Whoa.
So if you were to see a picture of me in 2001 and now, you'd be like, this motherfucker sold out. He sold out his beliefs. Where is the fucking all white suit? Where is the fucking visor that's turned back around? This guy's sold out who he is. Versus Scott Storch, roughly the same guy. Still got the weird tinted
I wouldn't
glasses.
say roughly. I think
Same
the
guy.
only difference is the type of boat he's crushing pills up on.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? In those days, pontoon. Now, much larger pontoon boat.
Yeah, with a rocks glass, but there's like Gatorade in the rocks glass for some
Oh,
reason.
yeah. The most weird American thing always, which is also mixing liquor with drinks where you're like, oh, yeah, can I have a Capri Sun and Campari? Why the fuck have you known what that tastes like? Who did you see do that you think that's a good idea? I just put it together.
We should try. I mean, there should be more widely used trying of drinks. Anyway, John, Respect. Where Pink says, this is my rap song, and then just starts rapping. 18 Wheeler is a cry for help. It's like
I didn't understand. Here's my question. There were a few songs where it felt like she just said stuff into a microphone. 18 Wheeler was the main one, where it was literally like, how did you guys make this? Because this doesn't feel connected as a song. But again, it's also, you have to remember, everyone, this is 2001. This is the peak of the music industry where they have not even yet acknowledged that Napster has killed them, where every album had 4 bad songs. In the end, so many of these artists should have just released a single, but instead they were like, no, you need 18 songs. Like, here's the thing with Limp Bizkit would have such a better legacy if they had just released the singles Nookie, Break Stuff, My Way, re-released My Way, put out My Way a third time.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things, you listen to this album and my main takeaway was Linda Perry got 4 good songs out of her, and then there's a bunch of like, I don't know, it's called Trucker Hot Rod. He's a trucker and you're a hot rod. Everyone
I mean, that sounds actually
pretty
pretty good.
Yeah, I could be a record producer, no problem. Here's what I've learned reading from Rick Rubin's book. If you are pictured enough just sitting somewhere barefoot, people will listen to your bullshit. Like, I gotta tell you, the amount of Rick Rubin's book is basically just like, think about it for a bit and then do it. You're like, wait, what?
Rick Rubin is so frustrating because he just like, if you were looking for a reason that like the whole mediocre white guy thing, and Rick Rubin just goes like, what's your talent? Oh, I can't play an instrument. I just listen and then I go, that's good or that's bad. I'm like, so you're just a one-man survey? That's your talent?
No, here's what Rick Rubin's talent is. You know what my talent is? Oh, I figured out white people would buy rap music, and the music industry still is shocked that someone figured that out before them. They just keep giving me jobs. Oh, also, I'm the only person that seems to be able to stomach the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, I'm the only person that isn't just like, look, there are 3 kind of good funk musicians and a full Jimmy Savile pedophile. I don't know why people still go to... I don't know why the same people that like the Dave Matthews Band are like, let's cut loose. Go see someone hardcore. The Peppers.
Yeah, I mean, I never got the Chili Peppers either because they didn't have the stink of like being a rap rock group on them. But for some reason, if you wear huge pants and you're mean to everybody, everyone hates you in the biscuit. Okay.
Here's the thing with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and why they were popular.
Yes.
And this is why. You ready? You ready?
Okay.
They were a band that dudes thought girls would like. So played them. It was something I noticed working at a camp in 2006. Is all of the dudes that like thought this lady was going to bang them when they were driving into town on one of the days off, they would all be blaring the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'm like, oh, these fucking Limp Bizkit and fish heads are like, well, this is some relatable tunes. Huh, you babes like to dance. Why don't you dance to this man who's dated full children before?
He was a handsome guy at the time. And you know what? He didn't start looking weird until like the phase where he kept on going to every UFC event. Now he looks like a scarecrow, but
oh my god! And also the time
like Johnny
he got kicked
Depp,
out.
like Johnny Depp's exact aging thing of like him and Anthony Kiedis started looking crazy at the exact same time.
I would say it was different things though. In that I think Johnny Depp got the bloated, weird, boozy. I've spent too much time in France, while Anthony Kiedis has that weird thing of like, you know, some people think I'm still 35, and it's like, that's not true. You're 62. Like, that's just not true. Please, like, he's one of those guys that's been on Ozempic since 2019.
Oh, God. Anyway, there's a Family Portrait, which is one of those songs where she's lashing out at her family, but knowing how amicable the divorce was is really good. And also, like, multiple people have come out and said Pink just fully lied about, like, L.A. Reid said that about, there's a line like, you have to change everything you are to be a star. And L.A. Reid said, I had to absolutely not say that. And then they interview her mom about basically Pink casts her mom and her like as having an abusive relationship. And her mom's like, that's not fucking true. So there's a lot of that.
As I sort of read it, I think it was like Pink was just like, you know, being an adolescent was hard. I'm going to sing about that. And then she just leaned a bit too much into the character. I've seen this with a lot of stand-ups. Funnily, will like be like, oh, my parents are an exaggerated cartoon character of what you think they are. And then you meet the person and it's just sort of like, hey, and you're like, oh, you're not exactly like that, are you?
No, the amount of like, my dad's fucking crazy. And then I meet and it's a guy with like a checkered shirt tucked into pants. And he's like, what? This pizza's a bit too much. But I mean, it is also like most people are normal around new people and then are crazy around their family, right?
That's why my dad delivers. You know what I'm saying? Hey, John, how'd you get this way? Well, he's taking a full phone call. Well, I just literally said, hey, can you do this one thing? So I think that explains the whole thing.
Yeah, I remember
Who are
he
you
was
talking
talking to
to?
you, and then he just took a phone call while you were in mid-sentence. He took a phone
It's
call.
the most
Hello?
fucking insane thing. What's even funnier now is he's getting real blowback for all of that behavior. Like people are just, I just keep walking away from him, and he can't figure out the connection. Why'd you walk away? You started literally writing something out with a pen and a piece of paper. I'm out of here.
But yeah, the family. What the fuck is the song called again? Apologies. Family Portrait. There's so many of these songs that
I
are
like, by the way, that L.A. Reid's coming out and being like, I'm not going to comment on what is going on with R. Kelly and what I may or may not know. But let me say this. Pink is exaggerating some of the difficulties she had with her family.
This was from 2001. Also, L.A. Reid didn't say that. Her mom said that. Her mom was like, which is so funny because it's like when they interviewed the parents. I'm mentioning this for like the fourth time, but Pink's whole image is that she's like, yeah, I'm just like you guys, a fucking dropped out, rough family life. Oh man, what'd your dad do for money? He was the president of a large grocery chain. Oh wow, and I guess your mom just drank all the money away? No, she... Very good meal. I had regimented. I could have a cookie a day only after I'd done my chores. Okay, so you were trapped in that lifestyle? No, she was pretty lenient too. Anyway, just I'm fucked up, okay? But it's like,
here's the thing,
I
that
get
Kim
like writing for that character because you needed that. You couldn't just be like, things are fine. Name is Pink.
Yeah.
This hair is because I like pink.
It's the version of it's. Listen, I know a lot of specifically English comedians who faked being poor for years.
Yeah.
Because literally no one can write material about like, hey, my grandfather invented a Hong Kong, and yet they now won't give me free flights on Cathay Pacific. What the fuck?
Well, also, it's difficult unless you're like... Yeah, it's difficult when your life doesn't have any extremes, right? So I do appreciate that she... wrote for something, and you know what, she's also like 20 during this time. This is one of the first people where like she's probably in a suburb where it actually is weird to be divorced, and especially like in the suburbs still in 2024 when people get divorced they kind of expect something crazy to have happened, like cheating, full mistress, oh so he's leaving you for someone else, when it's just like, yeah, we just don't get along. Now it's done.
Most of the suburban breakups. Here's the thing: is breakup within the first 3 years, it's don't get along. Breakup after 10 to 15 years, there's a fucking mistress. I got news for, or like the ever douchey emotional affair.
Ooh,
Dylan, I mean, if you have an emotional affair,
I've seen one.
I'm gonna have you canceled.
You can have an emotional affair. If those words leave my mouth, feel free to kill me.
I would literally be like, well, I don't know who you are, body snatcher, but I would like my friend Dylan back. Oh, actually, I'm having an emotional affair with this woman. You've been body snatched, clearly, because let me say this about Dylan. He sits in the muck. He's not getting out of his own mess. He's going to sit there, and eventually it'll be cleaned off of his body.
But this is like just the amount of money it takes to be divorced. If you just are only getting divorced because you don't get along, then like you guys got to have good jobs. You know what I mean?
Or no kids.
So much.
As someone who got divorced because we essentially weren't getting along,
you guys
kids,
didn't own property together. Do you know what I mean? No. So it was just like
didn't.
You're hippie married. The vibes got off.
It's great. Also, it's
she got the
everyone
tofu,
should get divorced.
I got the gluten-free bread. Let's glide on.
Everyone should get divorced for no other reason. You get to find out what everyone's fear is in their own relationship, because the first question they have is this why you got divorced? And then they proceed to be like, when you tell them why you got divorced, they proceed to tell you all like the deep, dark inner workings of their relationship and how they communicate. And it's in there forever, baby. I know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm actually polyamorous. If you're going to be with me, you got to be with the stars too.
Oh my God. What's your favorite? Have you ever heard dudes telling girls they're polyamorous? Here's my favorite one. Literally just done having sex. Guy turns to her and goes, hey, I don't get tested because I'm polyamorous. So usually people just let me know what's going on. Forgot to mention that. Rolls over, goes to sleep.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, the best one I've ever heard was a girl doing it with a guy. And then he had like, and his accounting of it was under 5 seconds after he'd climaxed, she went, "So how'd your mom die?" Like she had the nut on her, and she was like, how'd your mom die?"
Oh yeah, you know.
And he's like, "Can you give me a minute? Can we just at least?" Like I'm still. Anyway, that was good. Ruined that for him. There's a bunch of whiny songs on this. It's clearly made for girls, and also my big thing about this album is it's very highly produced, and I kind of learned I don't really listen to music with very high production value. The only thing I'd heard front to back, and I'm not being weird about this, the only thing I'd heard front to back, which does remind me of like the fan base style, is Smash Mouth. Is the only thing I had heard with that high production value. Of Astro Lounge was the only thing I had heard with this high production value.
Whatever Deadheads are, that's what you are to Smash Mouth. I've never seen someone be able to relate so many things accurately and honestly to Smash Mouth.
Oh shit. No, here's the best part of this album.
Also produced by a member of Smash Mouth.
It's fucking... Have you heard the Pink song My Vietnam?
Yes.
The part where she talks about giving $1 to a homeless guy?
I have no idea I don't hear lyrics, and I gotta tell you, I hard zoned out on this album because it is not good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so this is...
It's great.
And I remember this being a thing. First of all, it's 5 minute... Oh god, it's so good. First of all, it's 5 minutes and 20 seconds long. Secondly, this is something I do remember from buying pop albums.
Why were you buying pop albums? Who are you? You're buying Pantera and Pink albums at the same time, basically just letting everyone at Sam the Record Man know next time you see my face, you will see your gunfire?
2000, like Chronic 2001. All the hits aren't the first song. The first song... It's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like baseball. The fucking first and second song, you ease people in, and then like basically 3 through 5 are all your singles, and then the rest is just like, hey, we don't sell singles anymore. There needs to be 55 songs. We did let the cleaning staff just air some grievances about their boss at the end of this. We called it a rap.
Let me ask you a question, Dylan. Let me ask you a fucking question. Speaking of 2001, The Chronic, who was playing the piano on Still Dre?
Me.
Your Betty and mine, Scott Storch. Say hello to Scott Storch.
Storched.
You'd bear in mind, in the same year as he made Mizzundastood, he also was then, like, I assume,
Mizzundastood.
Mizzundastood. I assume he was then preventing Dr. Dre from full murdering a woman while making 2001. As it turned out, the revelation that Dr. Dre's, just a piece of shit. One of those things where you're like, yeah, looking back, all those stories of how you dealt with Eazy-E really do make sense.
Daddy was a soldier. He taught me
Dylan,
about freedom. Yes.
Dylan, just as the recording has stopped,
John has stopped recording.
I don't know why.
Something went wrong and they're not being recorded anymore. Everyone else is still being recorded. Ask John to refresh and rejoin from regular browser, not incognito. Hello, everyone. Here's some Pink lyrics. This is my Vietnam. I'm like a war. Life keeps dropping bongs, and I'm keeping score. Here's my favorite lyric on this entire Pink album. Once I fed the homeless, I'll never forget. I look upon their faces as I treated them with respect. And then also the lyric her mom took issue with. My mom was a lunatic. She liked to push my buttons. She said I wasn't good enough, but I guess I wasn't trying. And then her mom, who... If we have any waspy people listening to this out there, her mom just reminds us of all of our moms about, like, she's like, this fucking bitch. I fucking don't want to talk to her anymore. So this is, I think this is the end because John's having problems. We're always having problems on this. So thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week with an episode about something. John, any final comments on Misunderstood? I just kind of threw us to the end because I didn't know how long you'd take to iron out all the difficulties. John just nodded. And that says everything. John's out again. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye-bye.